Michael Dawson was a man known for having a short fuse. At 42, he had everything going for him on the surface. A decent job as a real estate broker in Phoenix, a loving wife named Emily, and 2 kids, Lucas and Sarah. Yet inside, his emotions were like a ticking time bomb. From small things like someone cutting him off in traffic to larger things like a coworker stealing credit for his work, Michael would often explode, either verbally or emotionally, holding grudges that exhausted him more than the people around him. One Monday morning, everything changed. He was late dropping Lucas off at school. As he pulled out of the driveway, the neighbor, Tom, blocked the road while fixing his mailbox. Michael honked, yelling through the window, "Tom! Move your car already!" Tom raised a lazy hand in response, not in apology but in pure indifference. That tiny moment ruined Michael's entire morning. He muttered angrily all the way to work, spilled his coffee while slamming the car door, and ended up walking into a tense office meeting where his boss, Greg, barely looked up before saying, "Let's stay on topic, Michael." By lunchtime, Michael felt like his head was about to burst. He texted Emily, "I can't take these people anymore. Everyone is out to annoy me today." She replied, "It's not them. Maybe it's time to try that meditation retreat I've been telling you about." Michael scoffed. Meditation? That was for hippies or monks. But by Wednesday, after snapping at Sarah for spilling juice on the rug and then regretting it so deeply he couldn't sleep, he realized something. His anger wasn't just hurting him. It was starting to poison the people he loved most. So the next morning, he opened his laptop and signed up for a 3-day mindfulness retreat in Sedona. No phones, no laptops. Just silence, breathing, and internal stillness. He didn't know what to expect, but something inside him was ready to change. The retreat center was a modest wooden building nestled between red rocks and tall pines. Michael was greeted by an older man named Richard, who looked like he hadn't been mad at anyone since the 90s. His calmness radiated like a warm fire. "Welcome, Michael," Richard said with a smile. "You won't be needing that," he added, pointing to Michael's phone. By the end of the first day, Michael felt like he was crawling out of his skin. Silence was deafening. He hated sitting still, hated the slow pace of the sessions. He wanted to scream when another guest accidentally stepped on his toe and didn't apologize. But on the second day, during a group session, something shifted. Richard told a story. "There was a farmer who owned a horse," Richard began. "One day the horse ran away. The neighbors said, 'Oh, what bad luck.' The farmer simply said, 'Maybe.' A few days later the horse returned, bringing with it 3 wild horses. The neighbors exclaimed, 'What great fortune!' The farmer said, 'Maybe.' Later, the farmer's son tried to ride one of the wild horses, was thrown off and broke his leg. 'Terrible news,' the neighbors said. The farmer again replied, 'Maybe.' Soon after, soldiers came to recruit all able-bodied young men. The son was spared because of his injury. Michael stared blankly at Richard. "The point is," Richard continued, "events are neutral. Our reactions give them meaning. And when we learn to separate events from emotional reactions, we stop being controlled by others. We stop being victims of our anger." Michael stayed silent the rest of the day. That night something clicked. He realized he had lived his entire life on autopilot, letting every minor frustration pull him like a puppet. But Richard's story planted a seed. The third day was transformative. Michael learned something powerful. Emotions are visitors, not residents. They come and go, and the more we resist them or indulge them, the more control they have over us. But when we simply observe them without judgment, they lose their grip. He learned to pause, to breathe, to ask, "Is this worth my peace?" Returning home, Michael wasn't a different man overnight, but he was a man who had tasted peace and wanted more of it. His first test came a week later. While picking up groceries, a man in the parking lot opened his car door too hard and dinged Michael's brand new truck. The man didn't apologize, just walked off. Old Michael would have chased him down, demanded retribution. But this time Michael paused. He looked at the tiny dent and smiled. Maybe, he whispered to himself. Then he drove home. Emily noticed the difference immediately. You seem calm. Lighter, she said one evening while they watched TV. Michael nodded. I finally realized I've spent years letting everyone else control my emotions. I gave away my peace too easily. Sounds like Sedona changed you. No, he said. It reminded me who I could be. As months passed, Michael made meditation a daily ritual. Every morning before work, he sat on the back porch with a cup of tea and breathed deeply for 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. No phone. No email. Just being. And it changed everything. At work, when Greg criticized his report, Michael no longer took it personally. Instead of reacting, he asked calmly, "Can you clarify what didn't work for you?" At home, when Sarah dropped another glass of milk, he chuckled and said, "At least the floor's getting cleaned." Michael's friends noticed too. "Man, you used to snap over the smallest things," his buddy James said one weekend. "Now it's like nothing bothers you." "It's not that nothing bothers me," Michael replied. "It's that I don't let it anymore. There's a difference." He began sharing the techniques he learned. Pause before reacting. Label the emotion, "I feel anger," instead of "I am angry." Breathe deeply, especially in conflict. Ask, will this matter in 5 hours? 5 days? 5 years? Remember, everyone acts from their own level of awareness. Eventually, Michael started a small community group that met every Thursday evening. They called it Still Waters. It was a safe place where people could talk about frustrations and practice mindfulness together. Most attendees were people like him, burned out, emotionally reactive, tired of being puppets to life's chaos. One evening, a woman named Karen shared how she was always angry at her adult daughter for not calling enough. She would cry, complain, and guilt-trip her. But nothing changed. Michael listened, nodded, and asked, "What if instead of expecting her to meet your emotional needs, you found ways to meet them yourself?" Karen stared, confused. "Sometimes," he added gently, "we get angry not because others hurt us, but because we placed unrealistic expectations on them." She left that night in silence. A week later, she returned smiling. "I started journaling and taking walks. I stopped waiting on her call. And guess what? She called me yesterday just to chat. No guilt. Just love." Michael smiled. That's the power of letting go. 3 years later, Michael was giving a keynote at a workplace wellness seminar. His topic: Emotional Independence. How to Stop Giving Away Your Peace. He stood on stage in front of 300 people, confident and composed. "I used to be angry all the time," he began, "because I thought life owed me something. Because I thought people had to behave a certain way for me to be happy. But here's what I learned the hard way. If your peace depends on others, you'll never have it. True peace starts when you stop outsourcing your joy and start owning it." The crowd erupted in applause. After the event, a young man approached him.